Today I'm going to just go over real quick the way I take care of cassettes and my cassette players and how I use them. A lot of people out there right now are excited, just like me, that there's a little bit of a resurgence in the cassette player industry and the cassettes themselves. Of course, there are also a lot of naysayers saying that they're no good, they sound terrible. These are the people that are uneducated, and these are the people that we need to be talking about. Talking to, rather. But more importantly, I'm going to be going over what I do and what I use to get the best quality sound out of a regular cassette. First and foremost, recording your own cassettes. Now, you can go ahead and grab yourself some really good quality store-bought albums. Right here, for example, this is a country one. This is Mark Chestnut. But what's great about this one here is it's recorded on chrome tape. You can see there the tape strip itself, very dark. Now that tells me that tells you that this is a chrome tape. Now when I say chrome tape, that's a good quality sounding cassette. It's got a lot more of the high sounding frequencies in it. It sounds really clear and crisp. It sounds great. Chrome tapes. Now, in addition to that, you also want to be recording on a chrome tape if you can get one. If you can get a brand new one, that's awesome. I happen to have some down there. But also, if you happen to be floating around in the yard sale world or on eBay, you can also grab yourself a lot of really good quality used chrome cassettes to record on. For example, below, I have a box of about 165 chrome Maxell tapes that somebody collected because they were a big fan of the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead would let you record your record their shows. They let you plug your cassette player into the mixer and at the show and record it, and then all the Deadheads would reproduce them and trade them. And so this guy was must have been a pretty good distributor. He had about 165 Grateful Dead shows, all recorded on chrome tapes. I don't like the Grateful Dead, so what do? I rip the labels off of these, throw them in my stereo there, hit record, and you got some of the best sounding cassette mixtapes you can get. Now, the reason they sound so good is because they're chrome, yes, but a second reason that's very important, you need to get yourself a cassette deck. A deck like the one I got down below there. It needs to be able to record in Dolby. Dolby is noise reduction, but more importantly, the way they record when you have Dolby B or Dolby C switched on, boosts the highs just a little bit more, compresses the noise in the background. It sounds wonderful when you're recording any source with Dolby C or B turned on. So, chrome tape, Dolby. Next thing, a good clear source, okay? Back in the day when we were recording our cassettes, we were pressing record on crappy Type 1, terrible quality tapes from PST, like from the radio, right? So you're getting the DJ in the background, you're getting the static, and by the time you hit record on that, yeah, of course it sounds terrible. To have a good sounding tape, you need a good sounding source you're recording from, okay? So, a couple things you can do for that. If you want to stay pure and analog, again, record straight from a good sounding chrome tape. A good, sturdy, clear, no mess, the little felt pad in there is nice and straight, all of that. Start with a good source. Another good source, for example, would be a record. Record straight from a nice, clear record on a good sounding record player. I have the Audio-Technica direct drive behind me. That's great for playing records on at the right speed. Record right on these onto the tape, but you need a good source, okay? Good source, Dolby, chrome, or metal for that matter. You can for that metal. You can have either a Type 1 tape, which is the most common you can find. Then you have chrome tapes, like I've been talking about, because they're the easiest, better quality to find. And then there's metal tapes. Metal tapes are even better still. Even clearer, they last a lot longer. People used to use them back in the day for mastering, you know, when you record in your garage or something. But they're going for really high prices on eBay right now. I avoid them unless they're old and used, and then maybe I'll try to get one out of it. I got one down there that's a Sony metal tape, but irregardless. Chrome or metal tape, Dolby, good source, check your levels. Never ever record something onto a cassette where your levels are peaking above zero and they sound scratchy and terrible. Avoid that. If you have questions, I could go in more depth into how I record good quality mixtapes. Next order of business. What the heck are you listening to that thing on? I swear to God, if you're grabbing a little crappy 13 Reasons Why cassette player and it's got a terrible belt and it sounds like this when you're listening to it, throw it out. No, don't do that. Get yourself the right belt, okay? Go on eBay. Don't get the Jensen stupid ass terrible quality plasticky thing they're trying to pass off as a modern day cassette player from Amazon now. Don't do it. Save yourself the trouble. And here's why. Again, Dolby. Back in the day, Dolby was on all the cassette players, okay? All the good ones, anyway. And what was really important about that... I hear a cat meowing. I don't have a cat. That's a little disheartening. Anyway, if you're playing on a little crappy 13 Reasons Why cassette, don't do it. Stop what you're doing. You need to go on eBay and you need to get something early 90s and earlier, okay? When I say early 90s, I mean you'll be looking on eBay for Walkmans. If you look at Walkmans, you'll be looking at something along the lines of these guys here. Okay, this here is the WM-FX401 with auto reverse and a digital synthesizer tuner. And this one here is the WM-FX251. And this here is not auto reverse, but it plays pretty well. It plays nice, clear, quality sounding tapes. The problem I have with these guys, they're real chintzy and plasticky, and they have the potential to sound wonderful, but it doesn't last long because plastic falls apart after a while. It moves on you. It moves with the temperature in your environment. If you leave it in the car, the thin, tiny little belts in these start to stretch, and then you can't listen to it anyway. So it's really important to me, maybe not to you. If you like them, go get them. This guy here, actually, I haven't been able to get to work. It has a... no sound comes out of it. I put a new belt in it. It sounds fine. No sound. So I think it's dead. But anyway, I don't like Sony. Now that's really crazy to say, right? You're a cassette enthusiast. You listen to cassettes. You play them. Listen to them all day long. How do you not like Sony? I don't like Sony, not because of anything Sony has done. Okay, Sony's done a lot of great things. PlayStation, for example. And then there's also something more groundbreaking like the Mavica, right? The one that took floppy disks, the first digital camera. Yeah. I don't like Sony because of what Guardians of the Galaxy did to it. Okay? Guardians of the Galaxy took any cassette player with a Sony brand and jacked up the price to ridiculous amounts. And they're not worth it. They're simply not worth it. I'm sitting here showing you this one right here. I could sell this for $45 on eBay and somebody would buy it. It's not worth $45. There are a lot of cassette players out there that are not Sony brand that definitely are worth $45, if they work. There are a lot of cassette players out there that are not Sony brand that you can grab, fix pretty easily, right? And you'll have a wonderful sounding cassette player to last you a long time. One of my personal favorite brands of all time, out of any of my cassette players I've ever had, Panasonic. Panasonic has always been neck and neck with Sony in the 80s and 90s, okay? Always been neck and neck with them. They've always created just as good quality materials, and now on eBay, since it doesn't have the Sony name, reasonable prices, man. Panasonic on eBay, reasonable prices, easy to fix. Example number one. This right here is the Panasonic RXS35. Auto reverse, Dolby B, little tuner in the side there. This is a really great, I love the window in the front there. This is a really solid cassette player. There are plastic elements to it. Nice metal cassette door on the front there. It always opens and closes nice. Here's your selector switch there for auto reverse. And these guys, I used to get these for about $15 to $20 on eBay, and about last year, somebody started posting these for about $135, and ever since then, anybody who has one of these models in particular thinks they're worth gold. While they are great, not gold. So, I've been going around to every single place that I go, random yard sales, thrift stores, flea markets, and eBay, and when I see these cheap, I grab them. You know why? They're easy to fix, dude. Easy to fix. Look at this. I have 4 of them. Okay? Actually, I have 5. There's another one sitting around somewhere that I just have for spare parts. They're very easy to fix. They only have 2 belts, and all you gotta do, speaking of belts, go on eBay or Amazon and look up cassette player belts, and you'll find something like one of these guys here. These are multi-packs. You'll get like 65 packs of belts, and they're all different sizes. And all you gotta do is find the screws, keep pulling, find some more screws, keep pulling, and then gently pull it apart till you can see all the parts inside, and put some belts on. Plug some headphones in, try it out. Doesn't sound too good? Do some more. Do it again. And eventually, 9 times out of 10, you're going to wind up finding the belt that works best for this player or whatever player you're working on. And boom, it's done. It works. It's perfect. And now you just raised the cost of this thing, or the worth of it, by at least 25, 30 bucks. Now all you had was a radio player. Now you got a perfectly working cassette player. Something few and far between as time moves forward. Now, so that was the RX-35. The Panasonic ones that I love the most, and the ones that you should look out for if you want something easy to fix that sounds amazing, that one in particular, the RX-S35. If you see a cheap one, get it. Another one that is a great, great cassette player. This is early 80s style here, folks. This is the RX 1960. Look at this guy. It's huge, all right? All metal buttons, all metal casing, and sometimes they'll even come with a little leather case on them. Very cool. It's got a stereo microphone in there if you really want to try recording with one of these guys. I don't. If you're really lucky like me, I happen to find one brand new in the box. Okay? And it even came with speakers and the headphones and an AC adapter. Very cool. Now these guys, easy to fix, and you can find them anywhere from $15 to $35, $40 depending on the seller. Easy to fix, one of the best sounding Walkmans that I currently own. Speaking of best sounding Walkmans I know, this one's rare, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. This is Panasonic's only one of 2, I believe, direct drive cassette players. This is the RX-S40. Look how small it is compared to an actual cassette. Look at that. It's the size of a cassette. How does that work? Well, this one here in particular pulls apart, and there's your buttons, there's your door, play away. Now, when I say direct drive, some people know, some people don't. Direct drive means that this little cassette player has a motor that goes directly where it needs to without a belt. That means that over the 35, 40 years this has been in existence, 30-something years, it's never needed any tuning, it's never needed a new belt, it's never needed any servicing, and it sounds amazing. No wow and flutter, yeah. None of it. It is the best sounding Walkman I currently own, and these unfortunately are very rare. I paid a lot of money for this one because it's so rare and because it works. Now there's other ones in here that I've had for a while that sound okay, but I splurged on that one only because I wanted something that I know sounded perfect. Another good Panasonic one, this one here is a lot older. We're talking very early 80s. This is the J5 rather. This is one of the first few cassette players they had. There was one just before this that had some more ports on the side, whatever. Takes 4 AA's. It does have a high and low cut there, so if some of your recordings are coming out a little bit too tinny, take care of it. This actually came to me for $12 with the original belt still intact, and it sounded fine. I just had to clean the head and the top here so that both channels left and right were coming out nice and clean. Another one, anything in this range here, the RQ-J3, the J5, the J9, they all sound great and need very, very little work to get you sounding great. Now, there are some that I've had no luck in replacing the belts at all. Wow and flutter, terrible. Can't get past it. They're just going to be shelf pieces. This one here is the RX-SA78. I liked it because it had a nice little equalizer, auto reverse, the works, Panasonic. Nice and sturdy. Still has some aluminum on the front. The belts, man. There's something wrong with these. I've had 3 of these and I can't get the belts right for it, and sometimes that is going to happen and you're just going to have to move on. Plain and simple. Another one that I really liked that was really easy to fix. This right here is the RX 1930. Yes. And what's great about this one is that there was a whole line of cassette players that Panasonic made with this same mechanism inside. And that means very easy to find the belts because the belts appeal to a lot of different models, right? Got it. And it has a little bit of preset equalizers down there to boost the highs, cut the highs, boost your bass, things like that. Also, got this one brand new in the box, okay? Brand new in the box. Where even is it? It's in there somewhere. There it is. Oh yeah. Instruction manual, headphones, all of it. 30 bucks. Didn't need to do anything. Had a brand new belt in there. I just had to pop the back off, put a new belt on, because of course the belt sat still for 35 years. So there was a little bit of wow and flutter. But again, the RX 1930, another very good, easy to work with cassette player. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. Easy to work with cassette players that sound awesome. There's plenty of other brands out there that I haven't tried. Iowa's one, Sharp is another one I haven't tried. But I like Panasonic because they're easy to fix and they sound wonderful. And not expensive. Not as expensive as Sony. That was just a little quick run through over everything, how I work with cassettes. Chrome cassettes, Dolby recordings, good quality cassette players, how I fix them. I can go more into depth into all 3 of those categories if anybody wants. This was just my first shot at talking about cassettes and cassette players. I'm going to post it on YouTube, see where it goes. If anybody wants any more in-depth videos, let me know in the comments below, and we'll move forward. Thanks.